As a result of that, the United States of America has a foothold. If you're a communist and you're the USSR, you say that the United States of America has a foothold in the Middle East. So now we have to get our foothold in the Middle East too, just like with Asia. So they invade Afghanistan, and then they also orchestrate the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979, where communists, USSR, and Islamists who get along because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Islam, you don't like the Jews. We don't like the capitalist Americans. The Jews and Americans are friends because of Judeo-Christianity. So communists and Islam, we could get along to try to perpetuate our agendas. We'll invade Afghanistan. I'll help you overthrow Iran. You turn it into Islamic Republic and you become a friend of communism and Soviet Union Russia. And that's how it actually happened. That's actually what happened. So it created an Islamic revolution over the Persian people, even though the majority of Persians were not Muslims. And it was not an organic revolution within Iran, and Iran did not want to become a Muslim country. The Shah of Iran at that time, who's the king of Iran, they had a monarchy before the Islamic Republic, propagandized by people that wanted an Islamic Republic in Iran. It was claimed that he was a dictator, although the people of Iran never seemed to feel that way. And when he fled, did he flee to a dictatorship country? Did he flee to Russia? No, he didn't flee to Russia. Did he go to another dictatorship country? No, he fled to the United States of America, which is a democracy, because he felt like he had more in common with a democracy than the rest of the world. And America took him in, the Shah. And he had a son who's still alive today. That's important for what's going on right now. Now, so all this time, for the last 47 years, there's been a constant divide between the Persian people and the government of Iran, the Islamic Republic. So, what you see is, you have to understand all that to understand what's going on right now. Most people would tell you that, and we know the Soviet Union fell, and it broke their power, a lot of their power in the Middle East. And a lot of other dictatorships fell as well. World events changed. The U.S. continues to be a superpower. Israel grows in power and might and creates one of the most cutting-edge militaries in the world. Radical Islam accelerates. Russia pretty much takes its hands out of the Middle East, at least on a major level, just simply not because they want to, but they just don't have the capability of constantly staying there when the Soviet Union has fallen economically. Islam comes, and then that puts us into about the 90s, and then we get to 2001, and radical Islam is now the front face of everything on the entire news network, and for whatever reason, you get to 2008 and beyond, and then Islam has pushed itself into Europe and has pushed itself into the United States of America and has pushed itself all over the whole world. But yet, while Islam is pushing itself into the Western world and communism, the Eastern world, the Middle Eastern world, they're becoming less communist and less Islamic. And it's really interesting, right? It's a cultural, political shift. It's really interesting because maybe that comes from America celebrating their victories over communism and over their enemies and thinking that the war was over because the Soviet Union fell and now there's nothing to worry about. We won. It's over. It's done. Let's move on. And the communists and the Islamists said, what are you talking about? It's not over. It's just getting started. So they kept fighting. So all of that needs to be understood so that you could understand this. The Persian people are not Arabic. They're not even Muslim. The Persian people don't hate the Jews. They don't hate Israel, and they don't hate the United States of America. In fact, the Persian Empire created by King Cyrus started off as helping the Jewish people, and is still recognized by Israel today as being a friend of the Jewish people, right? So this is the truth of the matter today. If you ask most people in the world today, because of jihadist propaganda and the forefront of Islam, the forefront of Iran, which is the only thing you ever see on the media, they will tell you that Iran is 99% Islamic today. That is a fallacy. It is a lie. Iran is not mostly Muslim today at all. Actually, 70% of people in Iran, of Iranians, do not pronounce Islam. And in a poll taken 5 years ago now, this is a 5-year-old poll, 71% of Iranian people said that they were not Muslim. And they did not consider themselves Islam. That means that only 30% of the country was considered Islam. That was 5 years ago. It's probably much smaller now. Now it's estimated that it's probably around only 25% of Iran is Muslim. Or maybe 20% or less. It's gotten so small. That's one of the reasons you see in this major revolution over the Islamic Republic. You have to understand this. People think that that Iran is 99% Muslim. The only reason they think that is because the only words that they ever get from Iran are all completely crazy pro-Islamic radical rhetoric. But that's because they're not hearing the people. They're hearing the Ayatollah. They're hearing the Iranian regime. But the people scream as loud as they can, but it seems to go into a void because their words can never get out of Iran, because Iran censors all media that comes out of Iran and all media that goes into Iran. And you have these Persian people that are being held in captivity, being held in slavery by this Ayatollah and this Iranian regime of Islamic Republic that is anti-Persian, doesn't respect Persia, doesn't respect the Persian roots of Persia, doesn't respect Cyrus. The Persian people that are in Iran, not Arabic, not Muslim, don't even speak Arabic. They speak Farsi, which is Persian. They are completely disrespected, and the Islamic Republic thinks that it will have its Persian slaves for life, and that's what it really is. The Persian people, who are less than 20% Muslim, in fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but the fastest growing religion in Iran right now is actually Christianity. Christianity is the fastest growing religion in Iran and has been for the last couple of decades. There's actually millions of Christians in Iran. Millions. That is no over-exaggeration. But because of the radical Islamic Republic, Christianity is illegal in Iran, and if they find out you're a Christian, they'll murder you in the streets, as they do their protesters. So they don't have any churches that are outrightly spoken, like we do in the United States of America, non-profit, 301c, non-taxable, non-profit charity organization, and yeah. And we're so happy in America because we have our nonprofit 301c status, and we get our we get a little bit upset in our panties in the wad when we think that they might take away our tax exempt status, because what could a church do if we don't have taxes? What will we ever do if they take away our tax exempt status? And then they they compromise or water down the Bible because they don't want to get their tax exempt status taken from them. It's a little bit different over there in Iran, where you'll be beheaded if they find out that you're a pastor. So the Christians in Iran, who are certainly not worried about a 301c nonprofit tax exempt status, and are a lot more worried about the fact that that while they're taking them away, that they have time to preach to the guards that are about to slit their throats so that they can teach the gospel to them before they die. The fastest growing church in the world, actually, the fastest growing Christian church in the world, actually, is in Iran. The second fastest is in China. Would you believe it? Millions of people, millions of Christians in Iran, and converting at a higher rate than any other religion in the entire world. Even the Iranian government recognizes that. They despise it. And they will not talk about it, and they don't want the world to know because it's embarrassing. It's humiliating for them to admit that Christianity is dominating Persian culture and growing at such a fast rate. Actually, I'll tell you this. There were just as proof of that, there were 70,000 mosques inside of Iran. 70,000 as a result of Islam, right? 50,000 of them have been shut down. 50 of the 70,000 mosques have been shut down because of a lack of attendance because there was that small minority of Muslims in the country. Over 2/3 of all the mosques in Iran have been shut down. Not now, not during the protests and everything going on, but over the last 10 years, 50,000 mosques have shut down. Which is so because of a lack of attendance, because nobody's Muslim. But Christianity's grown and continues to grow. And now all of this is coming to the forefront, which is where you're at right now with the Iranian Revolution, right? So this is what Persians inside of Iran want the world to know. We are not an Islamic Republic. We do not support Islam or radical Islam. We don't even believe in Islam. Less than 1/4 of our population is Muslim. In fact, the Christian population in Iran is higher than the Muslim population. Would you believe it? And so all of this is happening right now as we speak. Right? That's the number one important thing that you need to understand right now. Persians are not Arabs. Islam promotes Arabic supremacy. That doesn't help Persians. Persians aren't Arabs. They don't speak Arabic. They're not Muslim. They speak Farsi. They speak Persian. They remember King Cyrus, who was a friend of the Jews. Before 1979, Persia was a friend of Israel and the United States of America. And the Persians today inside of Iran are friends of Israel and the United States and are actually celebrating Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump, because they say if it wasn't for Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump, we wouldn't have even gotten as far as we have with these rebels and this rioting that's going on inside of Iran right now to overthrow the Ayatollah and the Islamic Republic. This time is different because this time it's going to happen. We are finally about to see the death of radical Islamic terrorism dominating in Iran. The Persian people will be free. The Ayatollah is coming down, and for the first time in 47 years under the 47th president, Islam will die in Iran. Thank God, right? Our Persian brothers and sisters in Iran will finally be free. I actually knew a guy from Iran. That's a whole nother story. I will probably actually tell you that story. And he was a Christian, by the way, and it was crazy. He almost died in Iran. And so all of this is happening in Iran right now. I love the Persian people because I understand that the Persian people have been held in bondage. The Persian people don't want Islam. They've cried out, but the world doesn't hear them because the Islamic Republic hides them, and the Islamic Republic tries to make everybody think that they're all really a bunch of Muslims. They're in consensus with us. That's what it is. And then they escape Iran. And people with the highest IQs are actually encouraged to leave Iran because Iran doesn't want people with the highest IQs in that country because those people are more likely to create a revolution. And then they go to Europe or America, wherever, they try to tell the world, this is what's really going on in Iran. This is what's really going on. The Persians are not Muslim, and they do not see the world this way. They're totally different. And then the world says, well, we all thought you were a bunch of radical Islamic terrorists that want to nuke Israel off the face of the map. Aren't you a bunch of jihadists over there? They're all wearing burqas and everything, because in Iran, if a woman's hair gets shown, she gets shot to death with an AK-47 in the streets. And then they're like, oh, no, that's not us. It's just that we don't want to be shot to death in the street, so we have to wear a burqa. And then when they try to spread the message of what the Persians and the Iranians really think and what it's like to actually live under an oppressive Islamic regime, the left wing calls them a bunch of Islamophobes and helps perpetuate the bondage and oppression of 100 million Persians and countless millions of more in oppressive Islamic regimes throughout the Middle East and throughout the world.